I'm finding is that women, I think, are wanting relatively smaller breasts than they did a few years ago in my practice.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a push for people wanting to be more comfortable, smaller. And I think some of it has to do with, they've made a decision for themselves. So this was an article in the New York Times on the rise of breast reductions, seeing it in Real Housewives stars. We have people, rise of it on TikTok. I mean, there's a huge increase. At least you guys are seeing a huge increase. For me, I do breast reductions all the time, right? It's like I do insurance. So I haven't seen a huge increase, but that's because it's already been high. What have you seen in your practice? Is this something you're seeing more and more of, or is that volume going elsewhere?
No, we definitely do a lot of breast reductions. I do a lot of cosmetic breast reductions. That's what I was in the article. A lot of the cosmetic reductions that I've been doing, people are wanting, it seems like relatively smaller breasts than they did even a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know if this trend relates to a lot of the use of medical weight loss injections and drugs. And so for one, the volume just isn't there anymore. Like it's mostly skin at this point. So people are losing volume. And so sometimes I'm actually even fat grafting a little bit in the upper pole. So we're doing a full-on breast reduction to get everything lifted nice, tight, but they're still really kind of banana hollowed out on the top. So I'll add a little bit of volume up top. But yeah, I would say definitely women, before although you probably hear this too, if I say to a woman, hey, what's the ideal cup size? They might be like a K or an L. They're like, I want to be a B. It's like most women I want to be a B. And I don't know where the B comes from. And I'd say, it might not be proportionate to your frame. A B on you would look very small, but we get something that looks good, but that is still small. But what I'm finding is that women, I think, are wanting relatively smaller breasts than they did a few years ago in my practice. At least.
I feel like in my practice, C is the most, I don't see those patients, right? It's I see the A and B who are interested in augmentation. I see the D and above who are looking for a reduction, but I never see patients who have a C cup unless they're just looking for a lift. But they're usually uninterested in actually changing the overall size because they feel good on the size.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there has been a lot of patients that I've seen who are very, very large, who are looking to be absolutely teeny tiny. And you're saying, you have the K cup patient who wants to go to a B cup, and that's not even a standard reduction. It's not even physically possible with, a standard reduction. And some of them, you talk to them and you're like, okay, you're talking a B cup breast, which is yay big on your chest, which is supporting much more width than that. When we put B cup volume on your chest, it's going to appear with very little prominence, right? It's very little projection. It's not going to be kind of a cosmetic look because it's not fitting your shape. And some of them are like, I literally am not interested to being any bigger than that. They want to be that size just due to comfort. And if that's what they want, absolutely. I just want to make sure that they understand what they are getting. So when they are getting their B cup, they're not thinking a nice rounded perky B cup on their very large frame, which is not going to be, necessarily possible. But, if that's what they want, that's what they get. But yeah, I've definitely seen a push for people wanting to be more comfortable, smaller. And I think some of it has to do with, they've made a decision for themselves versus even just a couple of years ago, you would hear a lot of things where people are like, well, I wonder who, my husband or whoever significant other will think about these changes. And I'm seeing more women who are empowered to do what they feel is really going to be right for them and feeling that people within their lives are going to have to be accepting of that.
Yeah, I like that. I think, and if you think about it too, insurance a lot of times dictates what size they're going to be at least, right? Because they say you have to take at least this amount of tissue out.
Yeah.
So I think
a minimum amount. Yeah.
Yeah, a minimum of however many grams, which may make them a C or a D. But I think especially when people are paying cash, hey, I feel like I want to customize this to the size that I want, not that someone else is going to tell me, like you're saying, whether it's a significant other or an insurance company or a doctor or something, right? So I think there's power, there's empowerment in that for women. But you're right. Like you said, the cups thing, I never promised a cup size to anyone. I said, I can't, I can get a good idea. No, but your frame, because even people's band sizes, the band size changes 32, 34, 36, your cup size changes, right? So I try to put that into perspective for people. But I say at the end, they want something that's proportionate to you. I mean, it's obviously proportionate smaller than you were. But you also want it to look good and look natural and heal well, right? So, and have a living nipples. So it just there's so many like things that we take into account as we're planning these with our patients.
Yeah. And some people are here nor there on the living nipples thing, right? If you tell them, you're like, with the standard reduction, when I'm using some of your breast tissue to keep the nipple and areola alive, to move it to a new position, say, I can only get you to a D cup. I feel like that is about as small as I can get you. Some people are like, then get rid of them. Whatever you need to do to be a B cup or an A cup or whatever their goal is. And they have other options. I mean, you can always nipple graft people like we do for top surgery. And I see a surprising amount of people opting for that. Even, you talk to them about the pros and cons over it, and they realize that it really removes all of the limitations you have on the size that you are after. And some of them will totally opt for that.